Hey guys, Dr. Mark here. Hot off the presses, we have a brand new report, Nutrition Coaching Report 2023 study, salary growth and clients from our friends at feastgood.com. Okay, so here's the deal. Although we do have some data on personal trainers, this study is the first of its kind for nutrition coaches, giving you insight on the fastest growing and most profitable job there is in health, which is nutrition coaching. If you want to read the full report, I would encourage you to do so. You can find it in the first link in the description below, but for now, I'm gonna go over the top 5 most important findings for you as the nutrition coach. Let's dive in. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about from this survey and pull from is some of the specific data around price and how much you should charge for your nutrition coaching service. So keep in mind, there's around 186 coaches that submitted information for this survey. On average, the average work experience for those coaches were around just under 6 years. I think it was 5.9 or something. So keep that in mind as we talk about the data, but not a lot is known about how much you should actually charge for your services. And I know that was a main reason why the people at FeastGood did this survey, was to get a little more insight around what are nutrition coaches charging? What should you charge? This is something I've talked at length about because it's important for us to know, because it gives you a place to start. It gives you a place to base your services off of. So these insights are really, really interesting. There's so much good information here, but let's touch on a few key points. Mainly those being the average annual income for nutrition coaches in this survey was around 27,000 US, but half of those made less than 10,000. If you had more than 5 years experience, this was closer to 39,000 per year. Just keep in mind that, experience does, if you stay at this long enough, you will improve, you will get better. So keep that in mind. Another thing that's really interesting about this is that 80% of the revenue comes from one-on-one coaching. So when we start to talk about how you should actually charge for your services and how you should deliver it, one-on-one is the path. That's why we teach it this way, because it is the best business model. A lot of coaches are going to start with an initial price and increase their prices as they get more experience, better results, start to feel more confident about their services as well. A few things to point out from the data. We talked about those annual numbers. To me, that gives you kind of a benchmark of things to shoot for, but not all that exciting. The one-on-one nutrition coaching aspect, to me, this is just such great data, because that's how you should be charging for your services, is one-on-one coaching. It's the best way to start and grow. It's the best way to get clients results. So it's best for everyone all around. The one thing that I really wanted to point out though was the average price for nutrition coaching services, how much you should charge. We have some individual in-person data, which is nice to see that these numbers were higher than the online data, because if you're traveling, meet people in person, all that stuff, it's less scalable. It should be more expensive. So this was nice to see for me, but also a bit frustrating, because to me, it shouldn't even be an option, because yes, of course, if you like meeting with people and that type of stuff, great, but there's much scalable options and ways that'll work better for your clients anyway. And that to me is the online one-on-one aspect. The average price was $254 per month, validating some information around we should be charging for our services on a monthly basis. That is one of those things, that monthly recurring rate, one of the best ways to deliver your services. And this is for that monthly fee subscription model. Outside of that, just tons of good information around how much to charge, what this looks like. And one other thing of note here is that of the respondents, 40% of coaches plan to increase their prices next year. This is something that, in terms of how we teach it, you should be constantly reassessing your prices and increasing them, especially as you get more experience. When there's inflation, all of those things should factor into price increases. As well as get more experience, you do a better job and you get better results for your clients. So you should be paid accordingly for that, as well as it's a great way to grow your business. So that's the first thing that I wanted to point out about price here. So I also wanted to talk about some of the demographics of nutrition coaches, specifically the amount of female coaches and the amount of female clients. To me, this was super, super exciting, and also, again, validating around some of the trends that I've seen. So there are more female coaches than male nutrition coaches, which is, I think, fantastic, because number one, we need more females in the space. They make amazing coaches, and it's just I'm so happy to see that. But also 2/3 of their actual clients are female. And in the proportion of those, 80% of female clients worked with female coaches as well. So it's one of those things where diving more into how to best serve female clients is something that's going to become more and more important, just due to the prevalence of female coaches, as well as who's investing in these services. So of the respondents, 56% were female, and that average age was around 39. And here's the interesting thing with these female coaches. Of their clients, 80% are female. So we're seeing some huge trends here. And I think that just speaks a lot to who's using this service, who's benefiting the most, and who we really need to best serve. So in terms of, some of the trends and stuff that we're seeing in the space around eating around your menstrual cycle, perimenopause and menopause, I think we need to continue to educate ourselves and learn more about those situations because our clients need it more than anything else. One of the biggest challenges, and I'll just point this out here, of working as a nutrition coach was, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later too, is some of the misinformation that clients read in the media. I think we're never going to get around this, but I think the one thing that we need to do is use it in our content and how we approach getting clients, because I think that's one of the best ways we can do it, is talking about the things that they read and understand and what they want, and learning more about how to tap into what they want and where they're going. So those are some of the things here. But I think the biggest takeaway from these demographics here is the proportion of female coaches and female clients. Okay, so the next point I want to touch on here, and I'm super excited about this, is how coaches deliver their services, specifically the frequency and how often they communicate with their clients and how they do it. This is something that I educate so many coaches on and I teach so much about. I'm excited to dive into this because there's a lot that I love, and there's a lot that makes me cringe a little bit because I think it could be so much different and so much more optimized. So we're going through this best practices section here. It seems like high touch, high cost services, meaning that you're not just giving your clients a plan to follow, you're actually customizing it, making it personalized, adjusting it, and making sure that you're holding them accountable to the service as well, is definitely something that's much more prevalent, which makes me excited because that's the best way for especially coaches that are starting, but even coaches that are a bit more advanced to start and grow their businesses. That's the path. So that's exciting. The one thing that I completely agree with is that most coaches are going to do one regular weekly check-in with their clients, which is great. Body weight via, the body weight scale is the most important metric or most, commonly used metric, which I think just given the prevalence and popularity of bathroom scales makes a lot of sense. One-on-one, coaching clients, how often do you check in here? That once a week is the sweet spot, around 73% in terms of frequency. Here's where I'm just a little bit upset with you guys, with the respondents here. Video call. So obviously, talking face-to-face with clients can be a little powerful, but if you're anything like myself and the coaches that we teach and certify, if you've been doing this for any length of time, that you know that those live calls can include a lot of small talk. They can include a lot of things that aren't related to the process, and they just take up more time. You need to schedule them. You need to organize them. You need to set aside time for them. There's a better way. And when I see the text message / chat, I think we're, in email, we're moving in the right direction. This Loom video section, that's a number that I'd like to see a lot higher, because if you do a streamlined check-in form and a non-live check-in where you're talking over using Loom like I'm doing right now, this process is so much quicker and effective, and your clients like it a lot more. You can do it within 5 minutes and deliver the exact same service in a way that's much more scalable. And your clients still feel like they're getting that high touch, high cost service from you with just the same, if not better, results. If you haven't checked out that process at all, if you haven't checked out my hybrid check-in process, go to the link in the description below. It'll be the second link for you to check out, called the hybrid check-in. I got a completely free training on it. Look into it because I think it takes care of what I think is a huge time crunch for a lot of these coaches. And you could do just as much work in less than half the time. This is so much good stuff here, things that I think are great to see, maybe some things that personally I would tweak, and I think I'm going to speak out on there, but for the most part, very, very interesting stuff. Okay, so now what I want to point out about the report, areas for opportunity, specifically when it comes to how to grow our businesses. The biggest thing being, there are so many passionate coaches out there, so many coaches that know what they're doing, have the right skills, have the right way to approach coaching, are passionate about this stuff, want to help more people. The reason why they leave this career, if they do, is because they don't have the business skills. So to me, that's the biggest area for opportunity. And that's what, this survey found as well. The biggest challenge of working as a nutrition coach, the first one, highest prevalence, was 61% of respondents said the nutrition misinformation, myths that clients read in the media. To me, the first thing, and maybe this jumps out to you as well, means, more education. We got to educate our current clients and potential clients. That could be true, but I think for the most part, I think that stuff is never going to go away. The biggest thing that we can do, the most important thing we can do, the biggest area for opportunity is going to be learn how to market our services better, which is getting closer to and having better understanding of what our client actually wants. Like, what are the results? What do they feel like is holding them back? The reason why the influencers and the charlatans and, the people that sell you one side of the evidence, the reason why they get away with that stuff is because they're more tapped into what people want and what interests them and what motivates them and stuff. And, they show up as an influencer and talk about what they do in those things. That's just marketing. It's how to motivate people to take the next step and follow along and invest in our services. And that's the biggest area for opportunity. And that's validated in this study without a doubt. And I can see that in terms of, I think it's the next section here, just popping down a little bit. So much good information. I do really suggest you guys check out the full article. It will be linked up in the first link in my description here. Most of the clients here, I believe, or the coaches were working part-time, online, completely online. But I wanted to go to the marketing and growth section here. Proportion of your client base do you attract on these channels? Referrals are big. Social media on Instagram, also big. First point of contact being through direct messaging. But the biggest area for improvement was improving my online marketing. And this survey outlines where people get their education from, where coaches get their education from, and not many are teaching the business side of this stuff. It's just overlooked because we're in an education centric model that thinks that knowledge is the only thing that you need to be able to learn, but it's also the application of that knowledge and how do we get more clients to practice our skills would be the biggest thing. So this is what I see as the biggest area for improvement and area for opportunity as well is how do we overcome misinformation? We need to educate people, but we also need to learn to market better so people see us as the solution, as the person they should trust, so they take the next step with us and not anyone else. So to me, when I look through this stuff, that's the biggest area for opportunity. Okay, so the last point I want to touch on here are some of the common goals that clients have. I think if we're focused on, we just talked about areas for improvement and marketing our services. If we're focused on creating a business, we want to serve people. It's not what we feel is important. It's what they want to achieve and how we can best help them. We're going to talk about what that looks like in this section here. So there's a reason why weight loss industry is $1 billion industry. And it's not because there's some boogeyman convincing everyone that they're overweight. Maybe it is partially, but the biggest thing is that people want that service and are willing to invest in it. And nutrition coaches, from an education standpoint, from delivery standpoint in terms of how we deliver our services, the accountability piece, just the way the system is set up in terms of checking in, following up on the things that matter most, are in the best position to deliver on that result. And that's why we see 80% of nutrition coaches focus on weight loss and weight management because it's the most prevalent thing and that's what people are willing to invest in. So if you're watching this right now and thinking about, there's no space for me in weight loss, I would argue the exact opposite. I think if that's what you're interested in and you want to help people do, that's exactly what you should be focusing on because we don't want to sell people things that they don't want. And weight loss a lot of times is the best thing that we can focus on to open the door to people getting healthier, maybe gaining muscle, maybe focusing on overall health once they realize how important this stuff is and that we're the best person to help them. So in terms of general areas that these nutrition coaches focus on, 80% weight management, around 70% general healthy eating, but some of those more concepts, niche specialties, focuses and stuff, a lot less prevalent in most cases. So again, if you're watching this and thinking, hey, is there a place for me in terms of weight loss? I would say absolutely there is, because there's so many clients that are seeking out those type of body composition changes that there's room for all of us, really. So a lot of good information here. Again, I'm just skimming the surface of what this presented. If you want me to do a full review, go into more depth, make sure to let me know in the comments. And if you want any specific insight on this stuff, I'm happy to do that. and kind of go from there. But the biggest thing being, if you're creating a business, make sure you know what people want generally, but also what do people see you as the person that can help them with? Like, what is that key payoff? And the more specific you can get, the better. But this is really telling around what do people want and what are coaches finding the most success with. And that's it for now, folks. I wanted to thank the team at FeastGood for compiling this amazing report and highlighting this quickly growing career in health and fitness. I've been saying this for a while, but nutrition coaching is the future of health and fitness, and it is so nice to see it getting the credit it deserves. I'd also like to thank the coaches that filled out this survey. That takes work, but it's nice to see you giving back. And if you want to see me review the full report, make sure to leave a note in the comments below, and I'll get to work digging a little bit deeper. But for now, if you're really serious about starting a nutrition coaching business, the next thing I'm gonna have you do is check out this video I've linked up right here. If you really want to excel at nutrition coaching, you got to get better at your check-ins, and I'm going to teach you how to do that in this next video. So make sure to check it out now, and I'll see you in the next video.